Hi, this is Boris. Welcome to another episode of Sketchman Draws. This is a series of videos that I'm making called Drawing Lessons from Comics. So today we're going to look at some French comics, or bande dessinée, as it is said in French. I have a little bit of a history, and it's a little bit nostalgic to have this because, and I'm trying to remember because my memory is foggy, pun intended, because brouillard means fog. Um, it's Leo Malet's novel. Actually, I think we read a passage from either the novel illustrated by the illustrations of Jacques Tardi, or maybe there was an actual extract of the bande dessinée in the book, in the French book, French literature book. So I don't know, but anyway, it was really quite special to have this, and so this is a French edition, as you might have noticed, by Castaman. And the other reason I bought this in French, of course, I wanted to read the original, so I can speak French, so I wanted to read the original. But the other thing is, I also wanted to sort of practice French, because I feel like I'm losing my French and I'm not getting enough practice because I don't speak. Now everybody's texting, so you don't get to speak to your French friends. So yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is, so usually for those who are, it's the first time you're looking at this and you're thinking that this is a comic book review, it is not. It's mostly me going through the artwork and just sort of trying to pick out and point out like interesting things that he's doing that we can apply as comic creators or just illustrators in general. So of course this is noir, as you might have seen in the cover, and you will this will be a treat. Okay, of course there's like a message there. I think this was supposed to be a gift for someone. I don't mind buying used books because I'm not a collector, so I'm not trying to collect books. I'm just trying to read and just enjoy the artwork. So a lot of the books that I'll be looking at here will be used, and also, it's just it costs less less money. So okay, so it's D'Avril Roman de Leo Malet, which means like it's based on the novel by Leo Malet and adapted and drawn, illustrated by Tardi. So this is the first time I'm looking at Tardi's illustration. I decided on this, of course, like I said, I don't want to repeat it because I'm quite familiar with this story. And it starts with a little bit of like a foreword from Leo Malet, and he sort of just tells you like why, I mean, how you felt, like how this came to be, and that he was quite impressed with, like he was just going past like a bookstore and he saw bande dessinée, like a French comic book with Jacques Tardi's art on it, and he was quite impressed by his art, and then they learned that, I mean, so then Tardi actually got interested in this story. On a side note, Nestor Burmard, so this character also had a live action series on the French channel. So there was one French channel that was broadcasted in India, and so to be completely honest, we watch it because they would show nudity sometimes. And by the way, speaking of nudity, like French are a little bit more liberal in that way, and there is actually nudity in this. So I hope I didn't forget to put the warning. So if if you haven't seen the warning, there is some nudity, but maybe I'll try to skip it. But I'll just try to cover as much of the story as possible without actually spoiling it. I know it's not really possible, but I'll try. So I think the first illustration that stands out to me is this one, and like, so first of all, okay, I think so let me bring that closer to the camera. So here he's using some sort of pen, clearly, like for example the equivalent of a really thick micron pen. And well, for those who are not familiar, I mean, I'm a teacher, so I'm here to teach. So, for example, this is a micron pen, right? So, of course, I've used this so much that you don't even see branding on it. But then, if you look at his hair, like these thin strips, and they're so really wonderfully done. And I was like, how is he able to do the same thing as here? I don't know. Is he using a brush and then he's using the tip of the brush to create these lines? Well, maybe he's using multiple material, right? Like, that's the thing, like, as illustrators, sometimes I forget, as a comic book artist, as a cartoonist, is that you can use different materials on one thing. Like, you just need to be a master at it. So I just thought that was an interesting thing. And the other thing is in this illustration, so as you can see, the wet floor here looks really cool. Again, it's sort of, like it's not really accurate, but it's just, again, that's the mark of a true artist, which is like, just put enough, like don't overwhelm it with details so that it kills the effect, but like just put enough details so that to create that illusion. And I always say the artists are tricksters, right? Because they trick your eye or your ears, if there's a musician, to believing in, like feeling things. Of course, this is, I think, iconic. So again, like really great balance of like details and sort of empty space. Like, look at that. So I don't know the author, I guess, so I'm guessing this is Leo Malet because he signed it and there's a photograph of his. So these must be, I don't remember reading it, but these must be the preliminary sketches that TARDI probably did when he was preparing for the story. So, of course, since it's a noir story, it has familiar narrative tropes that film noir has. And of course, the hard-boiled detective, the femme fatale, right, that has a mysterious past, or there's something about her that there's something dangerous about her, but we don't know why. But she's like the detective usually is attracted to her, and again, so it's, look at this, really beautiful. And these are just silhouettes, but you don't, like, if you zoom in like too much, like that's not the point of the thing. Like, the point is to like look at it at this size. I wonder if he's like drawing and then I'm sure like he's maybe drawing it big and reducing it. I'm guessing. I'm not that much of an expert to have a say on that. The other thing that I noticed, like, for example, if you look at mostly bande dessinée, I mean, I'm not saying that all of them are like that because every artist tried to do different things and have different styles of storytelling and art styles. And layouts. In terms of layout, usually bande dessinée have like 4 tiers, but this one is mostly like 2 tiers or 3 tiers, which was really interesting. I know this will be controversial, but like almost like if you look at these like rectangles here, they could almost be read on a phone, like on a scroll webtoon webcomics kind of type. Okay, the battery is running out, so I have to hurry and no. So the again, I always pay attention to the way the artists draw rain. So interesting. Again, really masterful drawing here. Again, it's a very adult topic. There's a political backdrop to it. So there's a flashback sequence. So this one really stood out to me because, I mean, of course, all of his backgrounds are great, but this one really stood out to me because as someone who wants to find just the right balance to draw backgrounds, I'm really bad at drawing backgrounds, and I really hate it. So I'm trying to change that. like he can put just enough details to make you feel like it's Paris. And you know, like I mean, I've lived in around the suburbs of Paris, and I've been to Paris to meet friends and so on. So and you know, so it really feels like um, a street in Paris. Again, cars. So it's funny because as I'm recording this, the coming Sunday, which is I think the 2nd of August, I'm doing a tutorial, free tutorial on how to draw cars. So um, if you're, and there'll be a video soon on that. So usually what I do is I do the workshop on Sundays, and then I usually publish the video about that topic on Monday, so that I can have a weekly video, right? So yeah, I can. And there is also like one of the things, speaking of cars, like one of the techniques that I think you can do is, I mean, of course you can't find all types of cars, but like, so you can find like cars like this. So for example, I live in Bangkok, so I bought this for really cheap. I don't remember the price, but I just bought it on like a flea market. And you know, this is really interesting for me because I could like place it in different angles like this, and then either take a photograph and then draw over it, or because I don't want to trace it because then it looks too stiff. So what I'll do is I'll just hold it like this and then just draw so that it's, I don't know, I just thought it was a really cool technique that I learned from Frank Miller, which I think he talked about that in one of his interviews. Like when he was drawing Sin City, like he did Sin City because he wanted to draw beautiful women, men in trench coats and cars. So he used that. So again, here we have some night scene in Paris. Okay, look at this. This sort of cross-hatching, but like looks really organic. I'm sorry, I totally forgot the story, but so basically the Nestor Bioma is a private detective, and he receives a letter which is from like someone who says that he knows him, and so yeah, and then he goes and finds out that he was murdered. Okay, so then he gets pulled into this. So here comes the nudity, so I'm just going to skip. And then he gets pulled into this murder case with this woman involved, and then he just goes to places, and there's nothing like I mean, most of the time nothing happens, which is very indicative of these kind of stories. But then like it keeps you gripped. Like I just read this in one sitting, and it's a really quick read, and it's really well written, and of course the internal monologues, which I forgot to mention when it came to like noir tropes. And basically, it's just him finding out what really happened to that man, and so yeah. So I don't have really any other thing to say other than what I've already said. Which I think so. One other thing that I want to select, for example, for this black and white, this white skin that with like uncolored skin works. Because I try to do that in my webcomics, and it always looks bad because I color everything and I leave this white, and I thought, oh, that was brilliant because people don't actually do that. But what happens is that at the end it ends up looking unfinished. So yeah, and well, I don't want to spoil it because and there's like like almost like a rainy shootout between one of the suspects and Nestor Bioma at the end, and so yeah. It's a really cool story. I mean, if you really love noir stories, like check this out. And if you're into bande dessinée, if you're into TARDI, so this, like I said, this is my first TARDI, and I wanted to choose. I chose this story because, like I said, I have a past with this story, and I wasn't disappointed. It was really great. I think I'll read it again and again, and I think I'll like study like the artwork under a microscope. So I hope you enjoyed it, and this is the first time I'm testing this new lighting because it doesn't create that much of a like a highlight or a flare, and this is the first time I'm doing it standing, so which was also interesting. So yeah, thank you for watching, and this is Boris for Sketchman Draws, signing off.